Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the third episode of Psych Talks for Psychologists. I am Ms. Basha, Director at ICHA's Institute of Clinical Hypnosis and Related Sciences. Today we have with us Natasha Mehta, who would enhance our knowledge about yoga psychology. But before I begin, and everybody who's watching this, please feel free to ask any questions that you have in the comment box, and we'll surely answer them. And also, you can start a watch party so that your friends and family can benefit out of this session. I like to give a one or two sentence about an introduction to the organization. ICHA's practices or focuses on helping psychologists, coaches, trainers develop advanced coaching and therapeutic skills. Uh, and as we have our guest today, Natasha, she's been a dynamic master's in psychology and holds various other specialization. She's an educationist, a life skill coach, a yoga teacher with an experience of 10 plus years, and she has also worked with various corporate schools and colleges in Mumbai. She's touched thousands of lives of individuals, students, parents, teachers, and others who might have benefited. And she's also supporting a wide range of issues like from stress, anxiety, depression, and social emotional issues like self esteem, grief, anger management, and etc. Under her banner, both counseling services, she runs several programs for underprivileged schools, helping them with their life skill education in various homes. She facilitates meditation circles, encouraging a mindful living. So, welcome Natasha to the third episode of Psych Talks for Psychologists, and here on the entire ground is yours. So, tell us about a little bit about yourself first, and then about yoga psychology.
Hi, very good evening, Ms. Ba. Such a pleasure being here. Thank you for such a sweet introduction. And yes, I've been practicing psychology for over 10 years now. And especially when it comes to yoga psychology, it's been a journey of more than 13 plus years now. A conscious journey, if I have to put it that way. First of all, I really thank you for having this noble platform for all the budding psychologists or for all the students of all the age groups. And I always feel, when you use the term teacher, I always feel that I'm much more than a teacher. I'm a student, and I'm much more than student. I'm a teacher. So that absolutely puts responsibility in my hands to keep learning and keep sharing. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I thought that this was a great platform to come and have a nice heart to heart with everybody who is here. And
I'm looking forward to it.
hopefully, yeah, me too. And hopefully everybody feels intrigued by the topic of yoga psychology, because one thing is very dear to my heart. These are two topics, yoga and psychology, and they're not really two, but just to understand as subjects. They have inspired me all my life, and then in a way drawing parallels through life and becoming a psychologist, and being able to adapt yoga and let it to help, allow this whole knowledge and the fine wisdom that yoga offers to each human being, and to kind of take it to the clinic setup, is a blessing in disguise, which I thought I would love to share with everybody here. So I'm looking forward. I guess, Ms.
And
Bali, you can
we'll
ask me
love to
whatever
know it.
questions, and I
I have lots of questions, and I'm sure the audience watching would also be having a lot of questions. So you be ready with that.
I'm super ready.
So,
Bring it on.
so just give us a brief about yoga psychology. What is it? I mean, जब कोई पूछेगा कि yoga psychology क्या होता है, तो क्या बताओगे आप?
करेक्ट. सो मिसबा, योग सबसे पहले हमें ये समझना जरूरी है कि योग क्या है. एंड योग कम्स फ्रॉम द वर्ड युज. युज मीन्स यूनियन. In the literal sense, yuj means union. And I want to kind of put forward this very small story which I understood about yoga, and about how this whole uh, thing got compiled, because yoga has been a part of India since forever, since maybe the beginning of creation, if I can put it that way, if I can take that liberty. And but it was compiled much later in the 400 or the 500 BC by rishi called as Rishi Patanjali. So that's what that is from where we learn, and that is the text that we kind of refer to. It's like a Bible, like how in psychology we have a DSM to fall back on. So similarly, we have a yoga DSM to fall back on, which is Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. And the story goes in this way that after Ayurveda came into birth, and so there were people on the planet, and it's a nice story. I mean, it has to be taken in a very mythological way, if you like, or in a way that
Sure.
that can kind of reach your heart. So when Ayurveda came into birth, and then a lot of diseases kind of got taken care of by Ayurveda, and much later, people started realizing that there was still no cure in Ayurveda for many more diseases, and especially diseases related to the mind. And so again, the people on this planet Earth, if I may put it that way, they kind of asked for gods, that can, like, what do we do about these diseases? Like, there is still suffering. So these were the so-called psychosomatic diseases, which we kind of know in our modern terminology, and which were not seen, but they were creating a havoc. And what was the reason for it? Where was it coming from? Why was this a default setting in human beings to kind of suffer in this way to certain common issues? So that's when they say that Rishi Patanjali took birth, and then he took the onus of compiling this knowledge together in form of Yoga Sutras. And sutras are basically terse verses. They are really, they're like aphorisms, which are very, very one line statements, but they speak about everything. In that one line statement, so much is mentioned. And Sanskrit being the language that it is, so for example, when I said the word huge, now huge literally translates into union. You don't need to say anything more. When they say union, a lot is understood. It's like union of heart, mind, body,
Right.
soul. You can just imagine basically everything coming together, a wholesome picture.
Right.
In the same way, you see one of the literally the first or the second sutra, which says that Ataha Yoga Anuशासनम. That means Ataha means now. The word in itself. So now means अभी now बोला तो इससे पहले भी कुछ रहा होगा, मतलब तभी तो now बोल रहे हैं. That we have traveled, we've suffered, we've had a journey, then we've come to the now. And इसके बाद भी कुछ होने वाला है. So in that sense, that's what I mean. I wanted to put this point forward so that on the way you realize that how thoughtful and mindfully this thing has been designed by a master, by a teacher. And Patanjali, if you ask me, he's a psychologist and he's a scientist. He's not, he's a scientist of the mind, if you can put it that way. That's why there's a lot of love, because I myself am a psychologist, and I'm sure a lot of people watching here are psychologists themselves. So this will be of interest. So this is where yoga comes from. Yoga psychology, in a way, if I can put it in very lay terms, is kind of to understand this is a union or alignment of the body, which is the gross, which is something that you can see, the union of the mind, which you cannot see, but it exists in your thoughts. You can understand, you can know the functionality, how well it's functioning, how rational it is, or also with the outputs that it is giving you, you can understand that. And the feelings, the hard part. So how you feel, how are you feeling? So many. So it's basically the union. Yoga also talks about the union of soul, but I'll try to avoid that topic because it again goes into a very bigger dimension. But we, from psychology perspective, we'll at least try to understand today the union of the body, the mind, the heart, and maybe if it comes up in today's session and we have the time, the soul.
We can consider
So,
the
yeah.
soul also.
Absolutely. Right.
So lovely. It was a nice explanation about the entire evolution history of yoga psychology. Very well put across. So, what would be the application of yoga psychology, if you had to
Right.
tell us on that?
Right. So if you go to understand, yoga is very inclusive in its very nature. It's very inclusive. So union to pehle hi aa gaya, to inclusion to hona hi tha, matlab, there was no escape about that. And it's so inclusive that it is for everyone, from pre-cradle, rather I would say, not cradle to death. I would say actually it's pre-cradle also. And when the child is in the womb, even at that time, yoga psychology can be used. I mean, if there is a question that comes up later that how, I will definitely like to answer that. But otherwise, I leave it to your understanding. I will not be able to finish, and we are short in time. So it almost goes from pre-cradle. So then, plus of course, when the child is born, to the mother, to the family, anybody who's in their well-being, to anybody who's in any kind of stress, distress, or depression. If I would like to put it, in that understanding of things. So it goes beyond and it covers everybody. It in fact works on enhancing your strengths. It doesn't wait that okay, only when you are weak, then the interventions have to come into picture. It in fact gives you opportunities even in your best times, how you can strengthen and enhance and recognize all that positive center that lies within you. So client center therapy always talks about that positive center that
Yes.
is existing. So this is about that positive center which is there, and recognition of that positive center comes, so that's the application bit that yoga begins. And of course, beyond that also, it goes beyond that also. It goes into, in a way of rewiring of the mind. So when we speak about NLP, when we speak about all these, techniques which talk about the rewiring part of the brain, so yoga
Yes.
also works. Yes, so yoga works in that angle of rewiring. It says that if you have the capacity to build a habit which is not useful to you, then that means you also have the capacity to build a habit which is positive for you and which is useful to you.
Right.
So you can apply
Yes.
it there. It can be applied in any setup, whether it's hospitals, whether it's rehab centers, whether it's your own home, whether it's anywhere, whether it's in the garden with old people, just taking time to stroll or laugh, because there are different kinds of yoga. If you see, it has so much inside it. So if in major four parts, if we have to divide it, it talks about Hatha yoga, in which asana, pranayam, and all these things come into the picture. It talks about bhakti yoga. So even in temples, if people who don't believe in asana and pranayam, but just the surrender, because yoga speaks about this term of Ishwar Pranidhan. So just this whole surrender aspect of things can lead to so much change in the biochemistry, because surrender immediately relaxes you. You're not on alert mode where the flight right
Right.
response comes into
Not
picture.
absolutely
And
right.
I hope you
Lovely.
can draw parallels, because I'm trying to really bring in the
Yes, yes, that
practical
would be
aspects
very
of things.
wonderful if you are going parallel. That would be really helpful for people to
Yes,
understand also, our viewers.
correct.
Sure,
Correct.
continue.
So that way the bandwidth of yoga is really vast. In fact, it's for everybody. I would say it's not even limited to ऐसा age का भी limitation नहीं है. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about limitations later in our session today. But the bandwidth is really huge. You can apply it in all setups. You can apply it in corporate offices. You can apply it in any situation where there is a human being and they are breathing.
I like that. Lovely. So
Yes,
let
yes.
me just check if Natasha, we'll just say a quick hi, hello to everybody who's joined us. So yes, there's Nitin there. Hi Nitin, Anu, Sanjana, Shelly, Maitri. We have a regular people out there. Thank you for being regular. And more regulars we are expecting. Shilpi, Dr. Dipti. And hi everybody. And if somebody has put a question, not yet, we will expect a question in some time, I'm sure. But I
I'm
would like
hopeful.
to put across a
And
question. Yes.
yes, I just had a thought. Actually, when we talk about application based, if we are all kind of aware of Maslow, I've
Yes.
always considered Maslow as a very important element in whatever I have learned in life and whatever I transfer to my clients.
Mhm.
And when Maslow speaks about self-actualization, yoga is actually working on that aspect of self-actualization. That's where yoga
Can
is
you
taking you.
can you
And Maslow
explain that?
always. Yes, sure. So Maslow, when he talks about self-actualization and he talks about these other steps in the pyramid, self-actualization is always there. I mean, that it's not like you have to reach that step. That step is always present. Other steps, the physiological need, the need of belongingness, this is where we go up, come down. But self-actualization, that step is always present. and yoga helps in recognition of that. And then once you are in that state of, or rather not state, but even at least the recognition of that, whatever Maslow puts forward as qualities in that state, they kind of start to be predominant in the personality of the person. So when you were asking about the wellness, I mean, when you were asking about the application aspect, and I said that, it helps in the wellness. You don't really need to be in a state of suffering and then come for intervention and, then seek counseling, therapy, etc. That's what I meant, that, it helps you identify that positive center, which also Maslow calls, in a way, you can relate it to the self-actualization state. So, or, at least walking towards self-actualization, having that recognition. And then once you have that recognition, the qualities of that state of self-actualization, when what Maslow talks about, they predominantly start to rule your mind or your life. And then obviously it becomes a better, enhanced living for self and for the society.
I'm sure. Yes. Yes. Makes really sense. If we had to, if somebody had to put yoga psychology in their practice, how would they put? As in some other practitioners, say for example, a hypnosis practitioner, an LP practitioner, or other modalities like an art therapy or any other modality under mental health care. If they had to put along yoga psychology as a practice, how would they do?
Correct. Very interesting question. Now, Ms. Vasi, like I spoke earlier about NLP and about the rewiring aspect, etc. So, what yoga does is actually it kind of calms the brain down to a level wherein your receiving power improves and the thought traffic is reduced. There is more clarity, and it takes care of a lot of, how do you say? It takes care of a lot of, like you are in this whole state of feeling different emotions, right? And let's put it this way. Let's put it in this way. When you are angry, how is your breath?
It's fast, and because it's quite fast. Yeah, there's a lot of faster heartbeat.
Correct. It's fast. It's
That's
heavy.
what
Like,
happens. It's heavy,
it's like
and there's a lot of energy that you feel. If the physiological
absolutely.
aspect of it.
Absolutely. And when you are in love, say, or when you are with your mama, how will your breathing be?
A quite relaxed, calmer state. Being in the now type.
Correct. And when just right before the exam or just right before this interview, how did you feel?
So a little bit of excitement and nervousness is always there, which I find that it's good because that preps you well. Yeah,
Correct.
so that's there.
Correct. So every mood has a certain different breath, right? If you see that the breath and the mood are very connected, we can see a connection over here in the conversation we had, right? So if every mood can have a connection with the breath, then to reset our mood, can we not take the help of breath? Yes, absolutely. To regulate the breath, to reset it. So अगर मुझे अभी calm down feel करना है, जैसे just before the session, even I was nervous and my heart was fluttering, I had to take a couple of deep breaths in and automatically took my mind, or rather it indicated to my mind that, okay, nothing is wrong, it's all good, we are good, and now you can perform with more clarity. Right? So in any kind of therapy, if that kind of space or readiness can be brought to the client, then wouldn't any kind of therapy benefit, or the how do you say, the productiveness of the therapy improve from there? If the state of the client can be brought. Henna. So that is one way that I look at it. Of course, there are multiple other parallels, multiple other areas where you can apply different concepts of yoga in different therapies. So, like for NLP, I said about the rewiring aspect. Abhi ek idea mein, I mean, I'll just share with you one technique of which is mentioned in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, one of the sutras, and which is a technique, and which says that vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam. That means vitarkas are basically obstacles. Badhane means overcoming the obstacles. Like I said, it's so literal.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Vitarka
No,
Badana, Pratipaksha Bhavana. Pratipaksha Bhavana, Pratipaksha means opposite, cultivate opposite feelings.
opposite.
Bhavana means feelings. So that means if you have to overcome a certain obstacle, for example, if in front of you the thought is coming, this is stage fright hai, for example, या फिर आपको you have an abuse case and you know that somebody gets absolutely in a panic state when they think about the tough time that they have been through, and they start living that time in their mind. So in this time, this technique of Vitarka Badane, what does it say and what is the technique exactly is this, that you think of opposite thoughts of larger intensity. Like suddenly think of a time when you were in a birthday party and it was your birthday and everybody was cheering you and there was a beautiful pink cake, and automatically you will see that you will be able to overcome the tendency of the mind to which had been sucked down because of that particular memory. Or I'm not saying that there's something wrong in living those memories. Please live them, but know that if they start controlling you, then the functionality of the life is going to be affected. So
Absolutely.
you take control. Yoga puts control back in your life. It empowers you. That is the whole idea of yoga. So just wanted to share a little bit of that so that
Oh,
there's
that's
some
a
clear understanding.
lovely example. That's a lovely sharing of the technique and how it works. So basically, you're intense, having a more positive, intense feeling towards the more, maybe I won't say negative, but maybe it's more bothersome, intense feeling that people might have to
Yeah, you
overcome.
replace it. You replace it at that
Replace.
time, and you'll see that there's the immediate difference because you're
Right.
visualizing this is positive imagery also in a way, right?
Yes.
You're visualizing the
Yes.
positive aspect, and then you will immediately start to see that you are calmer and you will have more rational thoughts towards what has already happened, rather than being sucked into those thoughts and not being able to take control.
Right. Right. Lovely. Let me just check if we have questions, and I'm sure that we are going to have questions soon, but let me go ahead with my set of
Yeah.
questions.
I just got
So,
remembered of Modi's speech where he talks about being Atmanirbhar. So actually, yoga makes us all very Atmanirbhar.
I want to put it in quotes.
Yeah, we should.
So, yes. So, is there any kind of challenges you have come across while uh, you were practicing yoga psychology?
So now there are two ways to look at it. Yes, the challenges have been in this way that it takes a while for the modern client or the participant to kind of, like I have to, what would be the right word? I have to do a makeover sometimes, and I cannot give it in the absolute, I have to dilute it. I cannot give it in the neat way. So till the time the client is
Yeah,
ready.
I'm sure people will understand that. That
So till
analogy
the
will
time the
go good.
client, right. Yeah. So you've got to kind of arrange it to the needs of the client. And only once they are ready, then you can start giving them more intense or a little more neater kind of doses, which are more straight and bang on. But so that is one limitation. Second could be that sometimes people connect yoga to religion, whereas yoga has nothing to do with religion. It is like any other
Yes,
therapy.
yeah, I have an
Yeah,
idea.
it has nothing to do with religion. It is any other therapy, like a gestalt or like a existential or like a person-centered therapy. Just that the name is yoga, and then people think it's associated with Hinduism, which is not the case. So sometimes
Yes,
I found it very difficult because I also work with schools, and in schools sometimes we have to do this om chanting, and so sometimes these
yes,
little boys from a different religion will come and tell me, "Ma'am, is it okay? It's not allowed in my religion." And then I have to really
yeah,
explain to them that this is like a vibration, it is music. And it doesn't have to be, worried about. It is just like a vibration, like an Ameen is a vibration. So Om is a vibration.
hmm,
In fact, they're all derived from each other. The root word is this Amen, Ameen, Om, Salom. These all
right,
come from similar. So, yeah, so
right,
those limitations definitely I face. And I also, but it's interesting for me because I really love what I do, and I kind of have intense faith on it because I have applied it to my life forever, since ever that I know. So it comes very naturally for me to overcome any kind of doubts that people may have, because doubt is a very good modality of the mind. If you don't doubt, that means you're not thinking for yourself.
Mhm.
You're doubting, that means you're ready to learn something, you're ready to think for yourself. And once you are able to overcome that impasse stage, which Gestalt talks about, that once you're ready to overcome it, you have by yourself understood what really this holds, what value this holds. Then you will benefit multifold times rather than just agreeing to somebody. So I like to take it in a very positive angle, that heavy
I'm
limitations to be
sure, I'm
crossed while you
sure.
care. And I combine it with
Yeah.
other therapy, so that really helps reach the maximum benefit to people.
Okay. So,
And
so,
also, yeah.
Hanji.
No, I was saying that about limitations. Sometimes with age, the limitation can come in, or sometimes with ailments, the limitation can come in. In terms of instructions, also, if it's a patient with schizophrenia, then I really, 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 really have to dilute it and give it in the way that the person can understand, and whatever simpler
Right.
levels. But for sure, it will have an impact, because it is also for those people, and there are interventions that exist in the system which will help them balance their nervous system. So
Lovely.
all I
It
have
would
to
be
do
very,
is just make.
hmm. It would be very interesting if Natasha, you could share one of your cases wherein similar kind of cases with issues, mental health issues, wherein you have used yoga psychology and it has benefited really well for the client. If you could share
Oh
something on
yes,
those
sure.
lines.
Yes, definitely. So there was this client who, elderly gentleman, I think
Hmm.
around 55 years of age, 60 years, I think, or 60 years of age. And he just came to me with that I cannot sleep, that I'm not getting sleep. I can't sleep more than 3 hours a day. He was addicted to tobacco for a very long time, and that was only relax. In a way, his brain had interpreted it as a relaxant. So he kind of got into the addiction of it and the habit of it, and because there was no sleep, there was distorted thinking, and yeah, so multiple other effects, coming in from there, and aggression and irritability, and so. But he had the, like they say in client centered therapy, that the client, that always have the positive regard, because I'm sure that there
Yes,
is space for improvement, and that is why the client has come.
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
and I just gave him some pranayam techniques, and I which were strong, and I'll tell you why I chose those pranayam techniques particularly for him. And so what pranayam does to, I'll take this opportunity rather to tell also that, how important
Yeah,
the technique of pranayam is for a mental health professional's perspective. I already shared about breathing. How breathing changes your mood. I already shared that, in the earlier question that you had asked. But at the same time, what pranayam is doing, it's actually helping to balance the nervous system. The nervous system divided into two parts: the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system.
yes,
The sympathetic nervous system works on the flight, fright, freeze
right.
responses, right?
Mhm.
Fight responses, and it helps you to kind of take action. It's an action oriented system.
Hmm.
So that's the importance of the sympathetic system. It keeps you alert, it keeps you aware. Like right now, I can't go to sleep because I'm here in the session with you. That's thank you to my
नहीं
sympathetic
हम
nervous system.
हम सोने भी नहीं देंगे. We'll trigger the sympathetic nervous
So
system.
right. So, similarly, the parasympathetic nervous system deals with your rest and digest responses. We are all aware of the
Hmm.
biochemistry in that sense, right? अभी
Yes.
कहीं ना कहीं imbalance होने से आपके responses में problem होती है. So this gentleman who I was talking about, so he had stopped working. Obviously, he didn't feel, there was inertia. He didn't feel the motivation to go to work. और फिर घर पे बैठते थे तो और depression, or झगड़ा family के साथ. So you can understand like all those other issues popping up. I don't want to get into detail of his issues, but overall this was the picture. And this went on for so many years for the family. So they were all suffering as a family together. And he was on antipsychotic medicines for a very long time. And without the medicines, he would not get sleep. And the medicines gave him a lot of side effects. So I'm not against antipsychotic medicines, but I just
I'm
feel that
sure they are
parallelly
required at
along,
certain level. Yes.
yeah, other complementary routines and other things that we need to do, which organically help us bounce back.
True.
Right. So when we gave him a certain pranayam sections, and I gave him some Surya Namaskar, etc. So that was to balance his nervous system, to bring it to an equilibrium wherein the rest and digest system also started to function in the way that it required to function, not over functioning, not under functioning. Same with the sympathetic nervous side, that not over functioning, not under functioning, not always being on alert mode, not always being on. So this is how, and it had immediate results. Like I know my clients coming up to me and saying that how this has immediate results on them. It's not like you'll go and you'll, because it's very practical. It's something that you do with the body, the psychosoma part of it, the body and the mind, they are one, right? So you will see
Right.
immediate results happening. So कुछ नहीं तो कुछ 3 दिन में तो आपको 100% वो result दिखेगा ही दिखेगा. In fact, I can also do a small practice today with everybody here, very short one. So you all will see for yourself that how quick and
So we'll
nice
we'll
it can
take it before the end of the session. I think we'll take it.
be. Sure.
Yes.
Yes, Misbah. So he reported of, he reported of sleeping for 8 hours perfectly well right after the second day. He just messaged me, and till date he keeps sending these messages of gratitude and gratefulness that how I kind of can live again, because for such a long time I felt I was paralyzed. I was not able to sleep and being awake like an owl at night. So yeah, so just these kind of things, and his tobacco, yeah, his whole thing with tobacco has also reduced considerably. Like he doesn't enjoy that as much as he used to enjoy it earlier. So the rewards are coming now more from the balance system rather than
Lovely,
whatever
lovely.
rewards he was getting from the substance that he was taking.
Yes. That's a very lovely example. I mean, case study shared. I'm sure people who are watching are benefiting out of it. And Natasha, I'm sure there are some questions that are there. So Sarah has asked, what yoga practices would you suggest to do daily basis?
Okay, I think I know this girl. No, so
Okay.
hi Sarah, thank you for the question. So yes, you can, in fact, daily basis. What I do, I can tell you, but you must learn before taking it up, because your nervous system is very delicate, and I don't want anybody to go out abusing that. So I will definitely share the practices, but what you can really begin with is simply, even if you begin with something like equal breathing. Now, what is equal breathing? अभी हम लोग, we breathe in more sometimes and we breathe out very less. So when you're breathing in, scientifically, try and understand you're breathing in a lot of, it's a combination of air. It's not just oxygen that you're taking in. You're also taking in nitrogen. You're also taking in some other CO2 or something like that. I mean, of course, you're letting out CO2, but then you're taking in other components of air which are present. उसमें से आपका लंग, हार्ट जो फिल्टर करता है, वो ऑक्सीजनेटेड ब्लड फिल्टर करता है और वो रह जाता है. लेकिन अभी आप सोचिए, आप ब्रेथ तो ले रहे हैं, यू आर वेरी शैलो, लाइक वी आर, मोस्ट ऑफ अस आर शैलो ब्रीदर्स, राइट? तो ऐसे
Shallow breathers. You
चल
don't
रहा
breathe
है
from the
ऐसे.
stomach.
Correct. You don't breathe from the stomach. If you see a baby, thank you for bringing that up, Miska. You see a baby, the stomach rises, falls, rises,
These are,
falls, rises,
yes.
falls. That's how you're supposed to breathe naturally. But we become shallow breathers over a period of time. Now, what equal breathing does is, if you breathe in more and you don't breathe out less, and you breathe out less, then the other components of the air also remain in your lung. And they also play with your mood and chemicals in the brain.
Oh,
So
interesting.
when you breathe in at least equally, this is the most basic technique that I'm telling you. If you breathe in equally, like for example, breathe in 1, 2, 3, breathe out 1, 2, 3, breathe in 1, 2, 3, breathe out 1, 2, 3. If you can just do it for like 10 times, you will automatically see a very big difference. Right? So the carbon dioxide from the lungs, wherever it is hidden somewhere inside, or the nitrogen or the other gases, have to be released, and that is a very simplest and the most grassroots level technique that I'm telling you. Apart from that, what I generally practice every day is Kapalbhati, which I again will say that we need to learn this before doing the stunts.
Practicing it.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. You
Yeah.
need to know the techniques and
Yeah,
breathing.
at least certain things to keep in mind when you're doing it. So there's Kapalbhati, there is Anulom Vilom, which is a very, very, very beautiful pranayam to balance the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system.
Oh wow.
And
I'm really
yeah,
liking the way you are connecting the psychology part with the yoga part. And I'm going to ask you a question: how does it connect? Because now that's my question: that how is Anulom Vilom getting connected with the parasympathetic and sympathetic and parasympathetic?
sure. I will tell you because that's why I'm very afraid of the time. But ठीक है. I think you're on my
We
side.
have.
मेरे
I'm
team में
equally
और
divided.
और oh, no, I understand. So, do you want the answer to that now, or I just finish with
Yes.
this question?
You can go
Yes.
ahead so that.
Right. Now, the other very basic thing that can be done is, which I can probably share videos later with the audience. I mean, I don't know how we can do that,
Sure.
which is called as sectional breathing. So, your lung is divided into three sections. If you can breathe into these three sections with awareness, with conscious, just being there with the breath, you'll automatically see how mindfulness starts to happen in your life. Because, for example, if I
Mhm.
have to show you, I don't know, it will be very difficult probably for me to show over this screen. But if I have to just show you about this area, you can see the upper area of my respiratory system here. And if I have to kind of show it to you, if I just simply breathe in here, just keeping in mind this area, that only this area, not even allowing the breath to go anywhere, you will automatically see how mindful you start becoming. Your
Right.
whole awareness towards yourself, your being starts increasing, and with that increase in the self awareness, you start valuing yourself more because that's a reward for the brain. It has given the nourishment to the brain. So there are these few techniques which you can very easily use, you can understand, and you can learn also very easily. And in fact, I would go on to saying that everybody or every household should at least have one member knowing these techniques because they are like medicinal in approach. They are not, and not only medicinal, they are immunity boosters. So in this COVID time, this is very, 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 very important to boost your immunity and to
I'm sure it's one of the way to help yourself to manage.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Sarah, for the question. But if there is anything
Uh,
else, I can share later.
I'm sure there are a lot of other questions. I'm coming to them. Arogya is asked how yoga psychology would help a man who's almost near to death. That's a very interesting question.
I was hoping somebody will ask that. Thank you,
Here
Arogya.
you
No, I
have it.
hadn't. Here I have it. Yes. So, Arogya, see, you have to understand that when you're nearing to death, there are multiple thoughts about what have I done in my life. This goes to psychosocial theory. If you know about the psychosocial theory, I've forgotten exactly what that stage is called, my bad. But the kind of the later stages of life, wherein we question that what all have we done? Do we become cribby kind of personalities? Do we become this taunty kind of personalities कि कोई मेरा ध्यान नहीं देता, ऐसा है, बुढ़ापा वैसा है, or we become people who have done enough and who are satisfied and who can just when they look back, they know that there is so much wisdom and experience that I have gained in life and which I can share now, right? And now, yoga actually brings you to that state of mind wherein you start to become grateful for, especially I'm talking from this angle of when somebody is near to their death,
Getting
right? And so, even if somebody is not in the state of gratefulness or somebody is in an extreme state of fear or anxiety, because death is not, I mean, in yoga
it's
they
not.
talk about this is, yeah. Yes, please. You're saying
Go
something.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, so in yoga, there is this term, let me just search. I have written it somewhere. Yes, it was, I knew this was kind of going to come. So there is this term called as abhinivesh. This is one of the fears in life which is very difficult to overcome. Fear of death. It's
Fear
very,
of
very difficult to overcome. Even for a younger person, it's very difficult. So imagine somebody who's just near the door of death and they've never prepared or never thought of death.
death.
right? So yoga prepares you for that again by balancing your nervous system, by it helps you overcome the anxiety. Secondly, of course, there is a lot of philosophy that is in yoga that kind of works on calming the system and kind of preparing the person for what is to come. Especially in Hindu philosophy, this is looked at that that death is not the end of all things. And
Mm.
at the same time, when somebody starts experiencing some positive joy and reward in the present moment, so even
Mm.
if they are nearing death, but they pass away with more relaxed state of mind, they pass away with at least having a vision of, because nobody is so poor that they would have not received something good in their life or good from their life. So yoga helps you recognize those things, and there are multiple techniques in yoga for that. Multiple techniques. So yeah. So in brief, if I have to put it, it's something like that. And in the beginning of the session, I also mentioned that how after death also yoga helps. But I don't think this is the right platform to kind of get into those discussions. But
There is a lot of
mantras. Hai. We use mantras. If nothing works, if the person is really in a state of a vegetative, you know. Being at this point, then mantras are something that you can put. And mantra kya hai? Simply to understand man say liberation, mantra, freedom from the mind. सो योगा के लिए माइंड वो फैकल्टी है जो कभी कभी आपके लिए सफरिंग लेके आए. mantra help start inducing this peacefulness, this calmness, which will help in your journey. Because with an agitated mind, anyways, there will be much more struggle. So somebody who is leaving or dropping the body at this point, it is very important for them to feel a sense of security, at least before they leave. When they drop, even out of our own compassion, this is what we would want, right? So mantras are also present in the literature and philosophy of yoga. And if I have to, yeah, I think I should stop there because there's so much more, and yeah, we should address a lot of other
there's so much
questions.
to
Thank
share.
you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. In what kind of cases would somebody use yoga psychology? So, in what kind of cases
In
would
what kind
one
of
use yoga psychology? Yes.
yes, it can be used for every case that I have known of. Whether it's
Mm-hmm.
about, I'll start with critical cases if you like. So whether it's
Yes.
about clinical depression, whether it's about
Mm-hmm.
severe anxiety or lesser level of anxiety. Uh, However, all these, and for psychology, this is extremely good because yoga has a lot to offer for the mind. But when these cases reach the body level, like for example, cancer,
Yes.
so that time it becomes difficult. That time you cannot say yoga is the only thing that we can use for treatment. It will not
Okay.
work. Or
I'm sure this is going
schizophrenia.
to be very important point while working with these clients who are having these kind of ailments.
Yes, rehabilitation purpose, yes, 100%. Or also, giving them the support, the anchoring, the management, the building the inner strength, or improving the immunity. Yes, because when your mind is in a better state, automatically the chemicals that are released from the neurotransmitters, the happy hormones that we like to call them, they take care of a lot of healing. So
Yes.
from that state, yes. But reverse कब तक हो सकता है? जब तक वो mind level पे है चीजें. लेकिन जैसे ही वो
Mm.
चीजें आपके बॉडी लेवल पे आने लगती है इन अ वेरी क्लिनिकल वे, देन इट बिकम्स डिफिकल्ट. बट अदरवाइज मेंटल लेवल पे जो भी इश्यूज है, वट एवर यू कैन से, लाइक लैक ऑफ मोटिवेशन, सेल्फ डाउट, फियर, एंजाइटी, डिप्रेशन, personality disorders, works very well with personality disorders, you know.
Oh.
And even children with special needs, as a matter of fact, because if you see for children with special needs, the ADHD, a lot of chemical imbalance is there. For ADHD kids now, there is a whole the serotonin, dopamine levels are imbalanced. So for that only we give them the pills. So this can really help them a lot. Then kids with autism, kids with I mean it's endless. The list is endless. Whatever you can think of, वहाँ पे yoga use हो जाएगा. ये मैं आपको लिख के दे सकती हूँ.
Nice. Let's take few questions that we have. Does thinking about positive scenario when feeling happy, angry and aggressive help?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's yes. So of course, because that's again positive imagery, right?
Right.
Positive visual imagery. Because we are psychology students, so I think I can use that term very freely over here. It really helps because the mental images that you bring forward that will have an impact on your breathing. That will again, the breathing
Mm-hmm.
will again have an impact on your mood. So 100%, this is a great way to begin for those who will benefit and those who have the, we all have different senses over predominantly that work for us. Like I'm, for
Yeah.
example, if I'm an auditory, or for somebody who's visual, तो आप उनको अच्छे अच्छे से scenes दिखाओ, वादियाँ दिखाओ, या कुछ अच्छा ऐसा party का scene दिखाओ, something, so positive imagery will really help. So you just have to determine like which faculty works very well with which person. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm predominantly auditory, then you can make them just auditorily listen. Okay, like imagine you're near a sea, you're you're in a space which has beautiful sunlight, things like that. So yes, it can change the state of mind immediately.
Okay. And somebody's asked, okay, how does one inculcate yoga into with children in their daily life?
How does one inculcate yoga? So I don't know in what perspective are you asking? Are these children in your own home or are these children in
I
school?
think they are talking about children at home, if become a practice, daily practice in their life for children.
Correct, correct. So I would say for children, one thing that we do as a mistake, actually most yoga practitioners don't know this. I think up to the age of 7 or 8, Surya Namaskar should not be practiced. That is one that I really want to bring forward. The reason being is Surya Namaskar has an impact on the, again I will go back to the sympathetic and the the parasympathetic system, on your nervous system basically. For
Mm-hmm.
that age, the nervous system is under development. It is organically happening. You don't want any outside regulation to kind of control it. So I
Right.
would say not just avoid it, harmful. Don't do it.
So you
Correct.
would
After the
suggest
age
that
of 10,
besides, huh,
okay. Yeah, besides Surya Namaskar, there are multiple other exercises that you can do, multiple beautiful asanas you can do, and asanas, very simple pose like the tree pose. Kids really love it. If you tell them these stories that where have these asanas come from? So, acha, you see a palm tree. Now, this is a palm tree pose asana, vrikshasana जिसको हम कहते हैं. तो
hmm,
अभी you just tell them, see how the tree is strong and sturdy, and this is how we need to be as a personality. So you just show them the Vrikshasana and you will see that children pick it up. या फिर asana of a dog, like a dog pose or a camel pose, or all these wonderful, or the mountain pose. Now these are all
hmm,
beautiful ways of introducing yoga to kids and should be introduced, because and plus Om chanting you can do for the children, humming you can
hmm,
do for the children, the bee humming, like how bee hums, you can always show the child that. And all these techniques start to work on the prefrontal cortex of the area, especially this humming, pranayams, and all of this. And the
hmm.
prefrontal cortex deals a lot with mirror neurons, with compassion, with empathy. So, yeah, in short, yes, you can do so many things with children. It's endless.
Somebody's asked about how does it help to reduce overthinking?
Yes. Yeah, I think, Abhi, matlab,
And
I
if
think
you
everything kind of comes. If you
and some
practice
tips
yoga,
on
see there is, yes, I can I can give the tips. Like, see, yoga, you have to understand that there are 2, 3 aspects to it which needs to be practiced. One is where you do your sadhana. Sadhana is wherein you do the practice of asana, pranayam. You be genuine to your cause, and there are certain other, how I would say, do's and don'ts given in yoga philosophy. The yams and the
Mhm,
niyams, right?
mhm.
And so if you can practice these things, automatically you will see, plus the thought traffic really reduces with techniques like Kapalbhati, techniques like Anulom Vilom, which I just shared, Seetli, Seetkari. Automatically you will see, because again the mood, like I said, if you can regulate the breath, मतलब चले वाते चले चित्ते. This is the quote in our scriptures. तो जैसे breath move होता है वैसे आपका मन move होता है. चले वाते चले चित्ते. So if you can regulate the breath, automatically it can regulate your mood. So yes, overthinking तो फिर होना ही है reduce. कहीं भी नहीं गया मतलब. You don't even have to like, you don't have to say कि अच्छा मुझे ये objective से करना है. योगा अपने आप वो complete करता है आपके लिए, which is a blessing, I think.
Yes, I'm sure that it also answers question of somebody who's asked about cause of clearing confusion and stopping of thought, and so it will all be covered in the answer that you already have given.
Really, even neurologically, because the chemical balances start to happen, you start to feel more clear in your thinking.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
So can you
100% confusion and
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Any
Yes.
personal experience, Natasha, that you can share where you've benefited out of? I'm sure there would be many that you can share one with us that you've benefited a lot out of yoga psychology.
I think Misbah, if I can go to that extent, I'm a very heartful person. तो मैं पंजाबी भी हूँ तो हम बोलते भी ऐसे दिल से मुझे मतलब I don't like to label myself like this, but I think I feel happy to say that sometimes. So
Yeah, if it
अगर
makes you
आप
happy, why not?
मुझे पूछोगे, sorry, yeah, it makes me happy. So अगर आप मुझे पूछोगे तो I think I'm a byproduct of whatever yoga has given me. My whole life has been taken care by it. I want to talk about the four pillars of yoga, but just to give you a sorry brief understanding of who I was, how I have
Hmm.
developed as a student. And I
Mhm.
used to be a very shy girl, which is kind of impossible for people to kind of relate to right now. I was an introvert. I was a very shy person. I had so much to say and give and offer to the world, but I thought that I just didn't know how to put it out there. So when psychology happened to me, it was almost around the same time when yoga also happened to me. That's how I think that these two got combined in my life somehow. Some things are very orchestrated. I like to put it like that. That universe orchestrates few things for us. So I used to be shy. I used to be a little dull in my appearance. I was anemic. I was not even happy about the way I looked. Like there was always this self doubt about my own body, my body image. Because what teenager years mein aisa hota hai, if you're not able to establish yourself into the norms, then you start doubting yourself. But
Doubting your
somehow, there was so there's that whole thing. But somehow I always had this understanding that I'm more than what meets the eye. Kuch to hai. There is something, that I need to also work on myself. And that's when yoga happened. And I've seen that over the years, this overthinking, and I still overthink a lot. I mean, if I can put it that way, it's ये थोड़ा बीमारी है मेरे को, मतलब मैं ज़्यादा ही सोचती हूँ. So, but overthinking, हाँ मतलब, it's like that. You are also laughing. मुझे लगता है we are sisters in this. No, but I think most people will be able to relate to this.
I'm sure most of us are
And
able to.
करेक्ट, कंट्रोल में नहीं आता था. लूप में अगर कोई चीज चालू है तो फिर वो लूप में ही चालू है, 2-3 दिन चालू है. सो दीज आर दैट इज व्हाट योगा टॉक्स अबाउट. The vritti nirodha. Vritti is nothing but modification, this loop that goes on in the mind. There are multiple other vritti that Rishi Patanjali talks about, which I don't really want to get into right now, because that's very theoretical aspect. But just by practicing this, I saw my own thought traffic reducing, a lot of clarity coming in my life. My own body started healing, and there was so much more prana or energy, if you have to put it, that kind of started surfacing. ऐसा नहीं था कि वो था नहीं, but it started surfacing, and that helped me to gain confidence and be able to share after that, and kind of accomplish a lot of how do you say, the purpose that I thought that I came in this life for. Like it's almost like that. Like Gautam Buddha says, the first half of your life goes in understanding what is the purpose of your life, and the second half is in fulfilling that purpose. है ना, शायद सुना होगा ये
True
कहीं
that.
पे तो इस तरीके से this has helped me. बहुत जगह में help हुआ है. कभी I don't know, I don't want to get into personal stories, but it's helped me everywhere. It's increased a lot of it made me fearless in many ways. It's made me trusting in many ways. और मुझे ये realize हुआ मिसबा, like I always have operated from this principle that I will not do things out of greed or out of fear. I will do it from a center which is predominantly taken care by love, which is a sharing center. So if I see myself doing something out of, and if you're not doing yoga, for example, for me, then the fear can really take over, because society say media ka kitna input hai, they'll say, oh, this is not happening right, that is not happening right. So in hypnosis, you can really understand that how the subconscious mind is kind of, so
Picking
hypnosis
it
is
up.
also
Yeah.
one very, yeah, so how the subconscious mind picks it up, and then it starts playing that tape in your mind, that cassette is played for the longest time and you start believing in it. So yoga frees you from such illusionary thoughts that the mind is capable of creating. And
Okay.
if I can say, it plants the seed of courage, it plants the seed of wisdom, and then you start operating from that center. So it helps, yeah, really helps. So in short,
Natasha,
keep it short.
yes, thank you so much for that. And somebody's asked about if you can share a tip or two with respect to insomnia, to
Oh
overcome
yes,
insomnia.
yes. So pranayams really help. That is one thing. Second, one thing which really helps in yoga, and this gentleman whose case I shared, he was having severe insomnia. And what really also helped him along with pranayam was this yoga nidra that I gave to this person.
Mhm.
Now, what yoga nidra does it works on the subconscious level without you having to do anything. You just sleep in shavasana, lie down, and the recording is played, and it will kind of just tell you, your autonomic nervous system, just relax here, relax there, take your attention to this part, that part. Like how in behavior therapy we do relaxation, similar to that.
Hmm.
And this technique of yoga nidra, especially the one that I'm mentioning about, and I really want to be vocal about this technique, this particular yoga nidra, because you'll find many yoga nidra techniques out there. But this teacher, whose name is Swami Niranjananand Saraswati, he's from the Bihar School of Yoga. He's the dean of Bihar School of Yoga, and this technique is mind blowing. I mean, this gentleman, the second day that he did this technique, he immediately had 8 hours of sleep straight. So it sows those seeds in your consciousness, like how affirmations would do. In a similar way, if I can,
Mhm.
for lack of a better way of putting things here. So yoga nidra is very very important when somebody is suffering from insomnia. Because again, insomnia क्यों हो रहा है? Because आपका parasympathetic nervous system, जो rest और digest system है, कहीं ना कहीं पे वहाँ पे imbalance है. So it 100% helps, and we should take help of yoga rather than relying on medications alone, because your body has
Right.
natural power to heal itself.
Absolutely. There's one more interesting question that I think Jyoti has put it across. In a palliative care of an onco patient, does yoga psychology help?
Hi, can you hear me, Misbah?
Yeah, I can. I can.
Okay. Can you repeat the question? In a palliative
I
care
will.
of onco-psychology, does yoga psychology
Uh,
help? Was that the question?
no, so yeah, read the question again. In a palliative care of an onco patient, does yoga psychology help?
Yes, yes. It can 100% help. Like I discussed earlier also about the near to death. I mean, if somebody is on that stage, and I had already kind of discussed this at that time. So yes, it 100% helps. All these techniques of relaxation, very simple pranayam, equal breathing,
Mm-hmm.
it helps to heal the nervous system, because, which
Mm-hmm.
is hugely impacted by chemotherapy or by cancer in itself, which is kind of running through
Mm-hmm.
various organs of the body by now. So at that point, the brain, once it starts to release, and plus the person in itself is on alert mode, because they are afraid of this, not just afraid, but the body is not in the right state. There is so much imbalance anyway happening because of the disease by itself, and by the virtue of the medications and other, which you have to take to kind of stay, in a state where you can function. So yoga helps in balancing again the nervous system, because usually the impact comes to the nervous system, and it helps in inducing positive thoughts, which is important again to improve the moods and to see hope and be realistic and make most of whatever time is available with us. Because a lot of times emotions of hopelessness, emotions of you know like dissatisfaction with life, or there is always a tendency that they will take over. I mean, अगर हमको बुखार भी होता है तो आप सोच सकते हो कि किस लेवल तक हमारा ब्रेन फंक्शन करता है और हम कितने डिस्करेज हो जाते हैं, और फिर वो डिस्करेजमेंट हमको फर्दर हील करने में हेल्प नहीं करता, इट ओनली टेक्स अस फर्दर अवे. Same, not same, but at a very bigger scale, this will happen to any patient under any palliative care. And that time, yoga can really induce the strength that they require. And I again will say it is very important. It should be used in that setup. It brings light, it brings hope, which is really important.
Yes. And it is sounding also very encouraging right now.
Yeah, that's the speciality about yoga. One really nice thing, Misbah, which I want to put out, because I like people to get intrigued by it. Once you're intrigued by it, then you go into self-exploration mode. And if you see Yoga Sutras, every sutra is a yantra in itself. I mean, what are yantras? Yantras are like, आपने कहीं पे रख दिया और वो अपने आप फंक्शन करते रहेंगे. आपको कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं. So हर सूत्र अपने आप में एक यंत्र है. अगर आप वो सुनते भी रहो और आपको पता भी नहीं है कि वो क्या मीनिंग है उसका, तब भी वो आपकी साइकी पे काम करेगा. सेम थिंग विद मंत्रास. सो गायत्री मंत्र भी आपने लगा दिया, आपको एग्जैक्टली पता भी नहीं है कि क्या बोल रहे हैं, बट फिर भी वो आपको कुछ ना कुछ पीस देगा. और हर इंसान का ये एक अनुभव है, ऐसा नहीं है कि दिस इज समथिंग दैट आई एम जस्ट सेइंग, दिस इज एक्सपीरियंशियल. So these things work as yantras, and that's why it can be used even with people who are almost vegetative or who are on bed. बिल्कुल भी होप नहीं है, तब भी वो आपकी साइकी पे काम करेगा, बिकॉज जो आपकी साइकी है, जो आपका मन है, इट इज बियॉन्ड द बॉडी, इट इज नॉट जस्ट द बॉडी.
Yes. Very well put across. And as we are ending, we are at the end of our session. I don't know where did the entire time go. We had a lovely session and lots of questions that we had from our audience. So yes, I would like to thank firstly the audience for asking lovely questions and being present. And I'd like to thank Natasha for giving such valuable inputs, explaining it in a very well manner, and giving your time. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming today, being online, and I'm hoping to see you all tomorrow as well. Thank you once again, Natasha and everybody else. And yes, a small reminder to everybody that our True Talks for Therapist, episode number 18. I mean, actually, I won't say episode 18. True Talks of Therapist we are having bonus 3 episode, which we are going to start today. So it's going to be conducted or co-conducted by Mamta and Nitin. So live today on FB at 10 p.m. India time. And in case you have any kind of questions, feel free to visit our website www.ichas.com, and see you all tomorrow on the fourth episode of Psych Talks with Psychologist on CBT.